No. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Optics Podcast brought to you by the Drive In Podcast Network, where we bring. Oh, that is the wrong. All right, whatever. We're reviewing Hamilton today, everybody. So, and as always, I have my good friend and my co host, Devin, here with me. How are you doing today, buddy?
Hello, sir. Aaron Burr, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello, hello. And we actually have some special guests with us today. We have Jacob and Kenzie from the Music City Drive-In podcast. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm tired.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit tired. I'm very tired, actually.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're going to be reviewing Hamilton. It came out on Disney Plus this past weekend. I believe it is the 2016 version of the play. Mm-hmm. And before we begin today's review, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Anchor. No, I'm sorry, not Anchor, Red Circle, TuneIn, Pandora, and iHeart Radio. Let me read the synopsis for those who are not familiar with the play, aka movie, but that's fine. So the synopsis reads: an American musical simply known as Hamilton, one of the founding fathers. It is a musical with music, lyrics, and a book by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And it tells the story of the American founding father, Alexander Hamilton. The initial release date, again, was July 3rd on Disney Plus. Directed by Thomas Kail and composed by Lin-Manuel himself. So, I guess, has everyone here seen Hamilton besides me for the first time?
It was my first time as well.
Okay. It was my first time seeing it. It was not my first time hearing the entire soundtrack, which I'll talk about that later, but I guess that basically is seeing it.
All right, Kenzie, what about you?
It was my first time listening to any of it, seeing it, the whole thing.
Really? Okay, yeah. So I thought, see, in the group chat, you made it seem like you've seen it before.
I almost had the chance to see it, so I didn't pursue listening to it just because I kind of wanted to see it and hear it for the first time, and then I did not get to see it. So
I got you.
Oh.
No, it's all right. So yeah, it was also my first time seeing it. I absolutely loved it, and I wanted to get into more of a non-spoiler section before we kind of dive deep into the plot of the play. But let's start off with Devin. What were your first initial thoughts when it came to watching Hamilton? Did you like it at all? I'm not sure if you're a musical guy.
I mean, I'm not usually a musical guy, but I loved it. It's hard not to. I feel like I was just watching like magic on a screen happening in front of my eyes. I don't know what it was, but I loved it. It was great.
That's some pretty high praise.
Yeah. You can just feel it in the air. Like, this is special.
In the air that night, Fernando. That style. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Kenzie, what about you? What were your first impressions of the musical?
I really liked it. I liked the way it was shot, that they did the live audience and then they went back and did close-ups without an audience. I thought it made it more cinematic than just watching a straight camera in front of the stage. And I felt like that gave the performers more of a chance to act like for the camera versus them just being for the audience and reacting to that. It was great though.
Okay. Yeah, it's almost like it was cut like a movie. Jacob, what were your thoughts?
It's like I said, I had on a 3.5-hour road trip, I had already listened to the entire soundtrack. So it was interesting going back and seeing that it does play out song to song to song to song, and there's not really much dialogue in between it. And so that was really interesting for me, going back and seeing that and actually getting to see that. But once you put pictures and people and faces to the songs and to the moments, it does. I mean, it is magical. They really did a good job of capturing that kind of magic and essence of being there and not being there at the same time. Because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the tickets were thousands of dollars, so I wouldn't have even had a chance to go. Plus, everyone, David Diggs, Leslie Odom Jr., Lin-Manuel, I mean, Anthony Ramos, they've all kind of moved past Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're never going to get that core cast back together again. People might go see Hamilton at Broadway, TPAC for people who are in Nashville, other performing arts centers, but we'll never get that core cast together. So it was really cool kind of seeing that core cast, the people who kind of started and made the whole thing. And yeah, that's it for spoilers, I think. That's just kind of first reaction.
Yeah, first reaction.
The cast is so good. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
It really was. Like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's one thing. My mom saw it in TPAC, and she saw it. Of course, she didn't see it with Lin-Manuel and that cast and everything. And I asked her, I was like, "What is really the difference?" And she was like, "It's all good. And if you see it without the original performers, it'll still be good. But there is just an entirely different level from Broadway stars than traveling performers." And I'm not saying like the people who do like TPAC are just traveling performers, but there is she said there was a difference between the two, even though it was all good. It's just their level is just so much higher than anyone else.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think when I was a kid, I went to go see Wicked when it came to the Cleveland Playhouse. And I mean, I know it wasn't like the original cast, but I mean, to me, I thought they did a pretty good job. But watching the original cast do it, I was like, oh wow, that would have been like fantastic to see. But I mean, you got to take what you can get. Like you said, I don't think there's any way in hell any of us are going to go see Hamilton live with this stacked cast, because those tickets are wow.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I mean, it's the best Broadway musical for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was there anything you guys wanted, what are aspects of the play that kind of stuck out to you, in a sense? So I guess you can say favorite moment, or just, I guess I'll start with Kenzie.
I really liked the way that there was not a lot of dialogue, that just rolled through the songs. And then specifically watch it, because I've seen it twice now already. I really liked that the way King George's music was put together was very different than everyone else's, because his had more of a British pop vibe to it than hip hop or any other genre. And it was really cool. I didn't pick it up the first time I watched it, but the second time I noticed how different his music was composed and put together.
I wasn't expecting to laugh much, but whenever King George came on stage, I had a few chuckles out of me.
Not just
they really made it satirical, which I liked.
Yeah, it was really unexpected.
Yeah, the King, honestly, I thought he was going to have more of a role, but
that man was up there drooling on stage. That's how into it he was. Jonathan Groff.
Spit just coming out. My God.
I loved it.
Insane. So Jacob, what about you? What really stuck out to you? I mean, since you have a little bit more of a different aspect, because it's you've listened to all the music. So have you technically seen it? Because it's the music obviously moves the plot forward.
I would say, when I was first starting to watch it, you can put it together when you listen to the music. And that's when I first started watching. I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen this part. But then once you actually start seeing it later on, and I'll talk more about this when we get into spoilers, but when the things happen later on, you get much more kind of emotionally invested into it, being able to see the people rather than just listening to the music. Which, if you've listened to the soundtrack does have those few lines of dialogue. So it is just listening to the actual thing straight through without just kind of those visuals. But for me, I mean, this has always been pegged as can't even think about it. It's like the play of its time with a modern twist or something. And to me, of course, like there's not, George Washington wasn't African American or anything like that, but they really did get a lot of the, like a lot of the historical aspects of it right. And that's one thing for me being, so big into history.
I was actually going to ask that. Is it historically accurate? Like, I don't really know.
When I watched it, when I looked up after, they said, of course it's not like beat on like historically accurate.
Yeah.
But like, this is like as best as you could probably get with like trying to make it in modern times as well as, redoing an entire thing in a play format. So, getting like that kind of, it wasn't as historically inaccurate as say like Bohemian Rhapsody, to where like they just kind of threw everything in Freddie Mercury's life like in like 5 scenes, but it was it did the best for what it could.
Okay. And
it wasn't quite PBS level, but got the job done.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I was actually surprised that Disney Plus put this on their streaming service because I mean there's a few adult themes in there.
They had to cut out an F-bomb, I think.
Did they really? Oh, you know what? Yeah, they did. I totally forgot about that. Like, I mean, I was like, this is actually kind of racy for Disney Plus. I was like, wait a minute, I'm watching this on Disney Plus, and it kind of dawned on me. But Devin, last but not least, what about you?
To me, David Diggs stood out the most to me. Like whenever he was on stage, my eyes just automatically went right to him. He's so entertaining.
Yes.
I feel it. Yeah. Some good stuff.
I know Kenzie was saying she thought his Thomas Jefferson was better. I think his Lafayette was better, but that's just.
I couldn't tell he switched, to be honest. I was very confused.
I mean, that was another thing because I didn't even realize. I'm like, wait, they had a few actors playing different people, and I was like, I mean, I guess that makes sense because I mean, when you're in a play, it's like you have a limited cast and you kind of have to just go with the flow, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing for me. I think that is the difference between being there and watching this. Is being there, I feel like I'd be able to pick up on the switch in characters a little bit more rather than watching it. I just see, when I see David Diggs come on screen, I'm thinking, oh, that's the character David Diggs is playing, and I'm not realizing that, oh crap, he switched. I mean, the guy who played James Madison, I didn't even realize. I think his whole character looked different from the beginning, but he played 2 roles also.
Yeah.
And so that's another one to where I was like, oh, like I feel like if I was seeing this in person, this is something I'd be able to pick up on a little bit more rather than seeing it in my home.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about us viewing these types of VOD streaming movies at home. Would everyone's impression of the play change if we were watching this in theaters? Like,
yes,
yeah, because Jacob and I we had a little bit of a tussle last night, but it's all right. I was a little bit under the weather. He was over the weather. I was over at my friend's house, and I was like, I don't even know. Like, okay, we were talking about should this be considered a movie, and are people, considering this a 2020 release? Because I mean, I feel like only like maybe 1 or 2 of the population of the United States have even seen Hamilton live. You know what I mean?
Like this cast.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. On Broadway. Yeah. But I guess I'll start with Devin. Like, what would you consider? Like, do you consider this a movie, or if it was released in theaters, would you then consider it a movie?
I think I do consider it a movie just because there is a director and he did make directorial choices as far as what the camera's looking at, where to transition to. However small those choices are, I think they were still choices made for a movie.
Okay. Jacob?
See, my issue with this is it's like I said, like, Saturdays at my work, there's an opera. And the opera does the same thing, tells a story, has a beginning, middle, and end, has people making decisions, has, camera, everything's the same. I would never consider that a movie. I've gone back to it. I would never consider Jonas Brothers Live. And I'm not talking about like a film. I'm talking about just like a movie and like something to where I can put this up with, other movies of the year. To me, this is more of an event or like a special or something like that. And seeing this in theaters, I don't think really changes that. I think it's better if you would have seen this in theaters. I think everything's better if you would have seen this in theaters. I'm getting absolutely tired of VOD, but but I think seeing this in theaters doesn't really change that because I'm sure there's been stand-up specials that have gone to theaters, before Netflix, and stuff like that. And I wouldn't consider any of those movies as well. I think it's an event. I think it's a special. I think for a movie and for a play are just two different mediums with the same goal. And I think there's completely different, the acting's different, the sets are different. Most of the thing from a movie to a play is just a different experience. And the one thing that I've gone back to is that if I go see this in person, I would never be like, I just saw a great movie. I would say I saw a great play. I saw a great theater experience. But, if I go to see Hamilton, if I record this on my phone, I'm not going to rewatch that and say, I just saw a great movie. So like, I understand that they make the decisions of a film, but me personally, I just can't put it as, a movie just because it's more of like an event to me.
Okay. Yeah, because from way back in the day, obviously, before going to the theater was more of a, I guess, common thing. Because I guess I was looking at from the fact that, people used to go see these movies, these films. It was like considered to be like a really big event. So it's like, I don't know. Kenzie, go. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, for me, it's the process of what goes into making making what you're seeing, and the process of making a theatrical experience versus making a film experience is two completely different processes.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Kenzie, what about you?
So I was on team It's a Movie until I spent more time on it.
No.
Uh-oh.
That's all right.
So Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John is a movie. But when they did the one with Vanessa Hudgens and Jordan Huff, it was more of like a variety special.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would consider this now. I think that like if they had recorded In the Heights and done this, I would have said the same thing. And now In the Heights is going to be a movie.
Yeah.
With Anthony Ramos.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be so good. I'm so mad that it got delayed. I mean, it's a summer movie, so I'm happy it's delayed. But it's like the same thing. Like, In the Heights is going to be a movie and not a play recorded for us to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way, even if I had seen it in a theater. And I hope they still can release it in a theater, like maybe for like some awards.
Yeah, it's like one of like yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll definitely pick up some steam because I didn't even realize they were going to release it, especially, let's release Hamilton like 4th of July weekend. It's like, I don't know who's going to be watching it. But then again, last 4th of July weekend, I didn't do anything but watch Stranger Things 3 all day. So.
That was last year, huh?
Yeah.
That's all I did.
Yeah.
There was a huge earthquake here, like in the middle of it. It was terrifying.
Oh, man. That's insane.
Going back to what Kenzie said about the awards push, it's like, for me, that's a fun thought. And for me personally, if it does end up getting an awards push, I'll be all for it. I'm there for it. Stranger things have happened. If you guys didn't know, Next Best Picture did an article on it, and I went through, and there was actually in 1974 or 75, there was a guy who did a one-man play, recorded it, released it in theaters, and got nominated for best actor from doing that. So I think like it's possible, and it's a fun thought. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but it is something to where it's like if it starts getting that love, I will back it because it does deserve it. But I just think that that's the reason that there are kind of the Tonys available for that kind of thing.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So, I guess we can pretty much just get into spoilers if we haven't already. So, if you are listening to this and you haven't watched Hamilton yet, go watch it on Disney Plus. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
Pushing
240.
Yeah, 240. So it didn't feel like 240.
It really didn't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was nervous when I saw the runtime, but
We're always nervous when we see the runtime.
For
the
me-
Irishman scarred us.
It really did.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
We watched
gosh.
it
I
again
saw-
Sorry.
Am
go
I
ahead.
the only one in favor of movies like 2.5 hours over?
But
I
Irishman like
am.
3.5 though. It's
I mean,
like,
I love Lord of
oh.
the Rings.
I saw The Irishman in theaters.
Oh, my
I saw The
God.
Irishman in an old theater with
Yeah, I saw
wooden
it in a really
chairs.
old theater. The
Oh,
worst
no.
theater I've ever sat in.
It really tainted my first experience, and then when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, oh wow, this is like great. Like I want to see it again and actually like engulf myself into it. But the first time I was sitting in like a lawn chair or like not a lawn chair, like a class like high school chair with like a cushion on my back.
No.
And I was
Hey,
like,
Devin,
Christian knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Devin,
Christian's been
Devin,
there.
That's our indie theater in town.
Yeah,
That is our
it's-
indie theater.
I was trying to lean to the side like this at one point, and it's just wood on the side, and I was just like,
Bad.
I
I watched Parasite there. I watched Waves there. Sorry to bother you.
They
Eighth
have a
grade.
theater. They have like a theater room. I saw American Animals there, and it's in the upstairs. It's in the upstairs room, and there's no kidding, like less than 15 seats, and it's an actual like theater.
I'm so pissed.
That's crazy.
Like what?
Mhm.
Because I almost went to go see The Irishman at our indie theater. I was so excited, and then I was like, you know what? I can totally just watch this on Netflix, and I'm kind of glad I did because those seats
Yes.
hurt my butt. Like it's
Did you watch it like all in one push, or did you pause it?
no, I paused it, so I watched like half of it, and then I went to my family's house for Thanksgiving, and then I came back and watched the rest. I got about halfway through, but thinking about it, like now, I'm like, I'm really glad I did not see that in theaters. But like, if you tell me that the Lord of the Rings extended editions are going to be in theaters, next week,
Yeah,
I'm going to fucking be there. Like
Yeah,
day one.
I'll be there. I'll bring my own chair. I'll sit in the
Yeah.
aisle.
I don't know what it's just. I guess with Lord of the Rings, it has there's the books, and people know how long the books are, so it's like okay, the movies are going to be somewhat a little bit lengthier. But like if someone just came up to me and said, "Yo, this is really cool, like awesome random movie that just came out, and it's 3.5 hours long. Are you in?" And you're like, "What?" Like,
See,
I mean,
personally, I'm on Kenzie's side with that. I do enjoy if movies it's gonna be a chunk out of your time anyways. So
Right.
what's like the difference between like 2.5 and 3.5 hours? Like in retrospect, I think when you make a movie with that long, just for it to be that long, that's when it really starts kind of like eating at its runtime. But I think I would much rather the movie be 3.5 hours long and the director get their entire vision out there rather than it be 2 hours long and they have to cut. And then you get, Zack Snyder's 17th director's cut. And
what was it? Watchmen
everyone has
got
to-
so many cuts.
Yeah. And everyone has to come out and be like, oh, but the director's cut's so good. And I'm like, well, what about the original cut? What about the first time? It's like,
Well, yeah, you had said something about theatrical cuts and director's cuts because we were talking about Midsummer coming out with their director's cut, which I'm very excited about. But I forgot what you had said. It was something about the director's cut shouldn't be like the.
It shouldn't make or break the movie.
Right.
Like Midsummer is a great movie, and the director's cut will only add on top of it, I think.
Right. Maybe the same thing.
What do they have to cut out is my question in Midsummer. Like, he seemed like he had a lot of freedom there.
Isn't it nice?
I mean,
it's only like an extra 33 minutes long.
I think
it's
that's
not
just
too bad.
like nighttime, like what they cut out.
Oh, really?
Oh, they cut out nighttime?
That's smart.
Oh.
That's smart. Now, I was gonna say they had a guy hanging up with his insides opened up. I don't think they had too much. I think
the bear had more screen time in the.
Oh man.
Bear. Oh my gosh. Okay, so got a little bit of off track, but that's whatever. It's fine. So, I guess for favorite moments of coming back to Hamilton. Before we went on a freaking tangent about. I mean.
How about we just do favorite song? That's an easy one.
Yeah. What? Devin, go ahead.
Is My Shot the easy basic answer that everyone says? I don't even know.
It's so good.
It is.
It really
pumped me up so much. I was ready to run through the wall.
I liked My Shot until that was the one that everyone kept playing, and then I started, listening more into like the slower. It's Quiet Uptown, and we're doing spoilers, right?
Yeah.
I think it was Stay Alive, the one right after his son dies. I think those two were the ones that for me just hit me so hard.
Yeah. Okay. Kenzie, what about you? Because I need to figure
Satisfied was definitely my favorite song, and then I went back and watched just her performance of it. It's so good. It's crazy.
Satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
a really good one.
Satisfied is one of my when they got actual artists to do the remake of the soundtrack. I think Satisfied was one of my favorite ones. I can't remember who did it. I think that was one of my favorite of the remakes.
Okay. I would probably have to go with the other Satisfied. Right Hand Man was pretty good.
So good.
And
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I found it. It was Sia Miguel and Queen Latifah who did Satisfied for the remake of it.
The remake, okay. I mean, and of course, there's Alexander Hamilton, the OG.
Did they play the Busta Rhymes version during the end credits? I think I heard Busta Rhymes in there.
Yeah, it's the Roots with Busta Rhymes, which is so funny because if they changed it a little and had them do an original songs, we could have Academy Award nominated.
Oh gosh, you're gonna get Kenzie and I are about to go on a tangent. Oh my god!
And then I'd be fine if it got a new song and it was an original song, and then that was the last year ever for that award.
That's me. Yeah, I'm so glad you agreed with me on that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted the Ashes from Deadpool 2 to get an original song nomination because it was actually used during the movie. But then you've got I think Toy Story 4, the song was played just for the credits, and it was I worked during Toy Story 4, and there was 5 people total who would stay for the credits, and I'm like, all right, there's your best original song contender right there, and nobody's sitting here watching it.
I feel like you guys feel some type of way about this, so just I mean, it's all good. So I guess as far as I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about because there's so much I want to talk about.
What was your favorite song, sir?
I already said my favorite song, sir.
Which one?
I'm going to go with Satisfied. I think.
Okay.
Because I mean, it really does speak volumes to the entire movie. Hamilton has 3 lovers essentially throughout the entire. I was going to say movie play. So it's he has his wife. Was it Elizabeth?
Eliza.
Eliza, sorry. Um, and then there was Eliza's. Well, I guess Eliza's sister. They had a little something there, but nothing really like became of it.
Yeah.
And then,
It was
and
more
then-
Yeah,
emotional.
they never acted on it.
yeah, and then there was the I don't even know what the lady's name was, but
The red dress.
some random broad off the street, like literally.
Yeah.
But it was just wow. Like I'm just shocked Disney actually put this on their streaming service. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
Well, I mean, they paid so much for it. They needed something out of it.
yeah, that is true. So I'm trying to. So I guess was there any other like talking points you guys wanted to bring up? Anything I mean, I'm just asking basic questions here. So.
I wanted to talk about if I thought it was weird that the character switch Anthony Ramos did from the guy in the beginning to Hamilton's son, because it made it seem like he had an affair with his wife, and then they birthed this son who looks just like him, but just switched.
Yeah,
and he's also playing a 9-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna say he let his hair down and became 9 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Anthony Ramos a 9-year-old boy?
Yeah. And when did that man have an affair with Hamilton's wife?
I do think it was like it's not as confusing if you're not as up close on them. I think watching it as a movie at home made it work.
I bet if you see it live, wouldn't be as confusing.
Like it's not.
I really like this. I know it probably wasn't on purpose, but I like the sentiment behind it. That like, that was one of his friends who died in battle, and now his son is coming out. But yeah, it was weird.
A lot of deaths for Anthony Ramos.
Yeah,
a lot of dying.
He was made to come in and go.
So funny.
I was gonna ask, what did you guys think of what is his name? Odom's character.
Oh my god, Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. I mean, I thought he did a great job. It was just I don't know how I feel about his character. He was very a little wishy-washy back and forth, and then I mean, I don't know. I just want to hear you guys.
I like his character though because I feel like we see that present day with politicians, and it's like at the end of this story, it's like they are all politicians. Like we put them in a different perspective because we're like they're our founding fathers, but they still were like politicians, and it's like they all flip flop and do whatever they want now. So it kind of like brought it back to how we view politicians now.
Yeah, that is true. Because I mean, what did he say? It was talk less, smile more.
Yeah. Like put on a show.
Yeah, put on a show.
Yeah, so. he was the guy against the war the most, and then he was the only vice president to be accused of treason. So there's that.
Yeah, there's always that, I guess.
I really like seeing Aaron Burr in here because you guys ever played Cards Against Humanity?
Uh-huh.
There was that Aaron Burr card. I never understood it, and I just always threw it away. But now I get it. Now I see why it's in there.
I really liked kind of that arc. That was actually, to get into it, that was probably one of my favorite moments is when you had Aaron Burr and Hamilton both talking to their kids. And that was one thing, that's one thing you don't get listening to the music that you do get watching it. Is that moment where Hamilton's on the right, Burr's on the left, and they're both sitting down, and it's kind of got the black in between, and they're talking to their kids, and it's kind of showing that they're on the same path at the same time when it comes to kids and having their kids and everything like that. And so that is one thing that you really do get watching it that you can't get listening to it. But I really liked their whole kind of I really liked kind of their whole dynamic of how Hamilton started off as, he was pushing Anthony Ramos's first character. He was like, we have to do the duel. And Aaron Burr was like, no, we don't have to do this. And Hamilton was like, no, like we have to do the duel. We have to fight. Like he's got to do this. And then at the end, it was Hamilton was the one who fired up into the air, and Aaron Burr, the guy who was against, violence and everything, was the one to shoot and kill him. And so that whole kind of switch in that character arc was something that like you really started to pick up more on throughout the thing. And that was really cool, kind of having it come back to a head, having it be like a role reversal type thing.
Right. Yeah. That's actually a really good insight. I never really thought of it that way. I really do need to watch this again because I felt the urge to do so, but then I forgot that I had plans, and I was like, I'll just watch it later. I thought about watching it today. I was like, oh crap, I have another podcast to edit, and then that went down the drain. So, but so I guess Kenzie, was there anything you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about already?
I think I noticed it more watching it the second time that when you watch anything or read anything about history at this time, the women are kind of to the side and you don't really talk about them and they're just wives. But I feel like he gave them some of the best songs, and then they just had more of a moment than I would have thought if I like read about the story and read about any of his lovers. And I thought it was really important, and I really liked it, like more the second time, especially Satisfied. It's just such a good book.
On the Satisfied.
Yeah.
Man, it's all good. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
I was going to say, like, I really enjoyed how he didn't try to overplay kind of women's role in this time, but he gave them like just enough to where you can tell like they were a parent. They had a role. They did matter to society, but he wasn't trying to like shove it down your face at the same time. And so it was something to where it just seemed natural. Like when I was watching that, it never crossed my mind that like, oh, like this is the 1700s and, there's like two people in the world who get rights. And, that's one thing where it's like, that's what I really like about how like, it's a play set in the past, but for a modern time. And I kind of really like that whole aspect of like kind of modernizing an old story and still making it work as well as it does without kind of shoving it down your face that like, this is how it probably should have been, but it wasn't.
For sure.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up the modernization of it because I thought that was fantastic because there's not a lot of history buffs out there. So this definitely gives them a insight of, hey, this is essentially how it went down, kind of how I think it's called drunken history or something like that, where people will, talk about different periods in time, get a little tipsy and kind of just think their own, like a bridge version of it.
Lin-Manuel should do one for Hamilton.
That'd be really funny.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
do the entire like play drunk.
Yeah.
Ad-lib the shit out of it, and then we'll just go from there.
Oh God.
But so I believe, we've been talking about this for like a good hour. This is normally actually longer than like our reviews because it's usually just Devin and me, and we go for like 30 minutes. So it's like this is like new territory for us when it comes to a review. But so I guess we pretty much talked on all the talking points I had. I guess let's. Do you guys want to get into final scores?
Well, before that, I just looked. It's not like this is like the greatest like Broadway musical for for a purpose, but there were things that didn't work, and that could either be because I was watching it on my TV in my like room, that I feel like at the theater would have worked better. Kind of that whole character switch type thing, and
that's a big one for me. That didn't work perfectly.
I liked that they did song to song, but at the same time, it's like it would have been nice to have like a few moments of just like speaking rather than like speaking in song. Um, but luckily, all the songs worked. I feel like if there was one song that didn't work, the whole flow of the thing would have just been thrown off. So it was something that worked, but I wouldn't like advise anyone who wants to go out and write a play to be like, I'm going to write song to song to song, because it's like with one song, the flow of it is completely gone.
Yeah, and actually that was one of the, well, I guess it wasn't really an issue. I guess I just had to get used to it because, like you said, there wasn't just like a few scenes of just, straight dialogue back to back that you would see in, any other play. It was literally like the entire flow, and if someone messed up, then it's kind of over in a way, or it kind of takes you out of it, I guess.
It caused some of it to get confusing. Just a few, and you had to catch yourself back up. At least for me, like I like if I didn't hear a word or didn't get a verse or something like that, I would have had to like catch myself back up. And that's one thing where I was like, if they stop and just kind of have like a conversation about this in like a few moments, I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of digest rather than like just listening to an album.
Yeah, that's actually, because it's kind of like, if you do miss like a little bit of dialogue, and I actually had to do it a few times because I was like somewhat cleaning up around the house, and I was like, I need to like actually pay attention.
Yeah, you have to focus.
Yeah, because I had to like back up at least maybe like 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure I heard them correctly. But yeah, that's probably one gripe that I had with it. But like, I mean, it's very like phenomenal how they, pull this off. It's just one big rush and just one constant flow of entertainment. Because I mean, I like musicals, but I never really seen a musical like this before. I always heard about it, but it's like, never really was privileged to see it until now. So there's always that.
Do you guys watch stuff with your subtitles on?
What's up?
Yes.
Do you watch like everything with subtitles?
No.
Yes.
No.
I usually do, but I was watching with my mom and she absolutely hates subtitles, so I had to turn them off for the moment. So if I watch it again, I'm definitely putting subtitles on.
It takes me out of it for some reason, because like even when I'm like hanging out with my friends, like they always put subtitles on.
It's
like,
weird. I play games with subtitles, but I don't watch movies with subtitles.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
so
the same
funny.
way.
I watch everything
like-
with subtitles except like we rewatched The Office, and I didn't watch that with subtitles because like sometimes the punchline would come like in the subtitle form before the joke. But I watch everything with subtitles other than like comedy shows that I've seen.
For me, I kind of like, I've always, and this is just like the writer in me, I've always liked seeing how it was like supposed to be written, because there's a lot of times where they'll put like little like onomatopoeias and stuff like that in like the subtitles, to where you're just like, oh, like that was one thing that should have happened at this time. And then it's also cool to see like at times when they go off like the subtitled script or whatever. So that's just, for me, I always just like seeing like how it was supposed to be written, like, and then listening to how it was actually like played out.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big subtitle guy. I don't know what it is. I mean, like obviously when it comes to foreign films, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Parasite, no subtitles. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey,
Actually, one of my closest friends, like she went to a Korean theater with her family, and it didn't have subtitles, and she said it's like so much funnier when you can just understand them. And I'm like, I'm so down.
Oh, gosh.
It's yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm with Devin because I don't know what it is, because it's. I mean, I get it if like, let's say if you're watching like a British film, and sometimes depending on where it's being filmed, their accents can be even like more clear, more lax, or even more thicker. So like for things like that, I can totally understand. But I mean, maybe I'll try it with the subtitles on. I mean, I guess for a movie, or sorry, a play like this, I would definitely give it a shot. I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
Does
nice throw in there.
Hey,
Oh man.
It's
But
really good with subtitles though, because I kept getting lost and it was like easier to follow along.
I
Yeah.
yeah. I just gotta bite the bullet and do it.
I bet it's a lot easier picking up on Lafayette, which that is why
his
I
accent was
think
so good. Like, what the hell?
that's why I think that David Diggs is better as Lafayette than he was as Thomas Jefferson. It's what
No.
Kenzie, it's what you told me. It's what you told me earlier about Natalie Portman and Jackie. I think someone else could play Thomas Jefferson and do a very good job, but with David Diggs, with his accent, with his charisma, as being Lafayette, I don't know any other person who can come out there and like do like the vocal slurs and everything that he did with Lafayette
and rapping in it too. It's crazy.
So good. I thought he was so good as Thomas Jefferson.
He is. He's so good
He
as
was.
Thomas Jefferson.
He really was.
But
I enjoyed him as Jefferson.
He was so like, like
Yeah.
spunky and like
He had-
I don't know. It was so funny.
He was like
It's not the way I envisioned Thomas Jefferson.
yeah, like very soulful.
Yeah,
And
and
just upbeat and
but he was in the background when Hamilton was playing. He was like, no one can see this if they're
I
listening,
hear
but
that.
you know what I
I
mean.
was like, oh my god.
yeah, that's
those locks. It was fantastic.
I just thought he was great.
Agreed.
I love George Washington too. That guy was
He was
awesome.
so good.
He was.
His voice is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never
incredible.
seen him before, or he kind of looks familiar. Maybe. I don't know if he's like in anything I've seen, or
Let's
if
see.
anyone else knows.
That's one thing because I mean, not many people.
Well,
know
he was
that-
in Moana. He was Chief Tui.
What? No.
Guys, I don't see like animated movies. Like,
That's another one you have to see. Is everyone was throwing Frozen out, but Moana came out like a year or two later and was like 10 times better.
It is much.
I know
better.
it's not the same thing, but
it says
no one
that
talked about
in,
Moana. Everyone talked about Frozen.
All you need to do is watch Coco, and you'll be fine because it's
I
the best.
okay, so most people told me to watch Frozen, and then everyone else is
Mhm.
like Coco. But then,
Coco's the goat.
Coco's.
Don't watch Frozen. Frozen sucks.
but
Okay,
then
Let
I
it go,
realized
son.
Frozen
that I
does
haven't
not
seen
suck.
Ratatouille, and now everyone's telling me to see Ratatouille.
Ratatouille's good.
Okay, Ratatouille. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
says the guy
it's
that
very
played George Washington is also in When They See Us. Peter Rivera, but I don't remember him.
That name, that When They See Us, did I see it? No, that sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's
The Netflix show, Ava
Oh yeah, I
DuVernay.
haven't seen that. I think the last full Netflix show I like watched all the way through was, I think it was Unbelievable. It's been a while since I've like or maybe it was no, it was definitely Unbelievable. I think.
When They See Us is really good, but I can't remember him in it though. It's so hard to watch and sad.
I think he has more hair in real life, maybe.
Maybe, but he was so good. What was the song he sang towards the end?
Just look on Spotify.
Wait, we love it, but we don't know the songs.
Yeah. Just look it up on.
I will say
Spotify.
that's one thing. Like historically, that's one thing that I'm really glad they like picked up on is that George Washington wasn't really the greatest general alive. I'm pretty sure he lost more battles than he won during the war, and so it was like cool seeing that. Like when he was in charge, it was like we're going to lose, and then he had to equip Hamilton and other people to come in and help.
Yeah, it was cool. They recognized.
Yeah, that is very true. What was I was gonna say something. Did you guys want to get into scores? So normally how we do it here, we normally just do it out of 100. Like
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys listen to Lights Camera Barstool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's top. That's my second favorite behind Music City Driving, of course. But Last Camera Barstool is awesome.
Yep.
So okay, so besides obviously Music City Driving, like and Lights Camera Barstool, I guess really quick since it's already on my mind, like what would be like your guys like, I guess like top 5 podcasts you listen to like on a regular basis?
I listen, of course, Lights Camera Barstool. This podcast, ours, all the ones from the drive-in. I usually try to get a few. Other than that, In Session Films, I really like. The Next Best Picture one, I really like.
Like, you're not
Those
done
are
people
two.
listen to our podcast. I'm just joking. he's like, what's our numbers looking like? I'm like, dude, I have no clue. I mean, it's easier to keep track on Red Circle now. I've been,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, those are probably the two top ones, other than this one and LCB.
Okay. Kenzie, what about you?
I listen to The Big Picture a lot. I think they're great. And then Little Gold Men.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it called? Little Gold Men?
Yeah, it's Vanity Fairs.
Oh.
Okay. I used to listen to that one a lot.
It's so good. And then I really like Vanity Fair has another one called Still Watching, and they kind of focus on a TV show and talk about every episode.
Oh,
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they do like different shows after they end. Like they just did Mrs. America, which I really liked that show, so it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devin, what about you?
I know we're both big Weekly Planet guys. Enjoy them.
Oh yeah,
Planet, yes.
I love them.
Love them so much.
And I know you want to plug Nerd Soup, so go ahead.
Of course, because they're fantastic. I absolutely love them. They are amazing. Yeah, that's like my number one. I mean, with Lights Camera Bar, so like I still listen to them, but like I don't listen to every single one of their episodes.
I have to go every single one. It's just I feel like with them, it's almost like a cult. And if you miss too many episodes, there's so many jokes that you can't like pick up on.
That's
like I sent the thing about Tom Cruise's butt, and that's like a huge running gag on LCB.
The bussy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the whole they're resuming filming Mission Impossible, and he spoke to like their this like guy on their Labor Party about entertainment, about how he doesn't have to do the quarantine and get tested. And the headline had a photo of him from a previous Mission Impossible on a motorcycle, and I was like, he does not have a butt in this photo.
Yeah.
Shame. Shame.
We have to know.
A 3-hour episode about all the stuff I read about his butt, because like, it's not always there. But I saw the photo.
That Valkyrie photo is
okay, but I saw it in like GIF form, and it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's just it makes sense when you watch it in motion. Like I don't think it looks that. The second he stands up, it's gone.
Yeah, it's funny because when we first started, I was gonna Devin, I was gonna point out that's where I saw your little picture from.
Yeah,
was
of
from
course.
There. Yeah, that's
Brendan
funny.
Fraser.
Oh my gosh, is that Brendan Fraser? I can't see.
Yes.
He's
Yes,
photoshopped
it's
on the
Fraser.
Oscar red carpet.
You know, he is better than people give him.
We love Brendan
Oh,
Fraser.
he's great. We love Brendan Fraser.
I love
Very
him.
pro Brendan Fraser.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Also, Devin, I think the reason why your camera isn't working, like if you have Discord pulled up and if you're using like a camera somewhere else, like you can't use your camera on like 2 different applications at once.
All right, good to know an hour in.
Oh
Just
man,
letting you know for next time if you want to show your face.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry about that. Got a little bit off topic. Devin, what would you give Hamilton out of 100?
I'm going right to the top, 95.
95.
I took off a few points because the character switching confused me quite a bit. But second viewing, it's going to be probably even better because you're used to that.
Oh, do you plan on watching this again?
Maybe get the family together. Nice family time.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Devin doesn't watch movies twice.
Not too often.
Yeah. Devin
Well, good thing this isn't a movie.
Yeah, true.
Wow. That's fine. All right, Jacob, what would you give Hamilton out of 100?
As a play, I've got to go 100 because it is like the best, or at least one of, I haven't seen the Book of Mormon, of course, but it is like one of the greatest Broadway musicals of all time. And I feel like it got there because of it. As like an experience, like sitting and watching it through streaming, I'd probably be like around somewhere between 90 and 95. I gave it 5 stars based on like a 5-star scale. So I'd probably go 95 as well. But, seeing this as a play, the thought of like being there, it would have to be 100. But of course, I wasn't able to be there because I'm a broke college kid. So,
hey, you graduated, son.
That's true. Yeah.
Welcome to the real world.
No, you're super
unemployed. I'm unemployed real world kid.
That is true. Kenzie, what about you? Out of 100?
I'm gonna go 95. I gave
Off
it
the board.
5 stars, but like on the scale, I'll go 95. I just have like some minor nitpicks with like the place the camera was sometimes, but nothing to do with the actual story and acting.
I got you. So I'm gonna go with a 98 for all you naysayers out there.
We're just haters. Sorry.
I would go with the 98 just because what me and Jacob were talking about earlier with the flow of since it's a musical of how sometimes you might have to backtrack to hear what they're saying if you don't like watching movies with closed captions on. I feel like that does hurt it just a little bit, but then again, it's a play, but the beauty of watching a movie is that you can pause it and rewind it. No, it's all right. But 98 from me for sure. It was fantastic. Like I definitely want to watch it again. And I've heard nothing but praise, but this wasn't like an overhyped type of experience because there's a lot of things out there. Like I would even say for the Rise of Skywalker. I love Star Wars, but I feel like it was just a bit overhyped. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I don't think you can overhype this.
Yeah.
I was kind of I haven't listened to it or heard it or like anything. And I was kind of scared when I pushed play, like, oh my God, like if this has been overhyped, I don't know how to talk to people. Everyone's going to get something.
Everyone's going to hate me.
It wasn't at all. It's as good as everybody says, if not.
It lives up to the hype. It really does.
No, it really did. Like, it was, wow. Blown away. Alexander Hamilton. You've done it again. Maybe I will start watching more movie-like plays, but we shall see. But that pretty much does it. Yeah, we're pretty much coming up on time here. So that concludes our Hamilton review here on the Film Optics podcast. I wanted to go around the podcast really quick and get everyone's social plugs, announcements. Let us know, what you're writing, what's coming up in your podcast. So I guess we'll start with Kenzie.
I have a few pieces for the Music City Drive-In website that are going to come out, and they're going to be great and better than my Ocean's 11 conspiracy theory.
Ocean's 11 conspiracy theory?
Well, Ocean's 12, I guess.
12, yeah.
But my social media is all Kins Vanunu.
Okay. Jacob?
Yeah, I've got a birthday thing I'm doing coming up at the end of this month, where I pick my favorite movie every year since I've been born, I guess.
Wow.
I've got a Palm Springs review coming out soon, which, spoiler, I loved it. It's favorite movie of the year, and I've seen it
watched it.
three
I'm pumped.
times over like a 24-hour period.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Oh
a
my
super. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes, so it is like a super quick watch, and it's just like it's a clear like beginning, middle, end, and so you can really just kind of like pick up on it. And then, of course, Kenzie and I are going to work on casting the actual movie, not the play movie, but the actual movie of Hamilton. And so I'm written all that up, and we'll talk about it, and we'll get that out sometime this week. And I saw the rental from Dave Franco, and so that'll be up in later July, whenever the embargo can lift.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's all I've really got right now.
Can we get Brendan Fraser as George Washington?
You know, I was gonna say that.
Yes.
I wanted is British, and it's making me feel really bad. So
Let's get some British actors to play some Americans. That always works.
you know, because
Yeah.
an American is going to play a British person, I'm actually really excited about it.
I'm kind of nervous about that because they can do our accent like extremely well, but
Yeah.
vice versa, no. I feel like our accent is way too laxed, and theirs is, I guess you could say, more uptight. So when it comes to their dialects, them laxing their dialects is probably easier than us, I guess, dressing up ours to
Mhm.
their liking. But I guess we'll see. I mean, Emma Stone did a pretty good job of it in The Favorite.
For
so,
sure.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Are you just saying that you're really excited for Kristen Stewart to play Princess Diana?
I actually forgot that was happening.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I think we talked about that on our news show. I can't remember. Devin, anything you want to plug?
I got nothing.
He's got nothing because this is the podcast he's on. So, but thank you guys for coming on. We'll definitely have to do this again here soon because, like I said, it's literally just been me and Devin. We've had a few people on from time to time. Our Last of Us Part 2 review is going to be coming out tomorrow. That one's gonna scorch me for a bit, but I'm just so pissed that happened. But I mean, it is what it is. But of course, I believe we're gonna be reviewing Palm Springs as well for this coming up week. That'll be our movie of the week to review. And as always, you can listen to our new show on the Film Optics podcast. That we do every single Friday. Well, we release it every single Friday, so you can check out our previous episode, or we'll be talking about wherever the hell comes out this week with Jason Momoa playing a freaking Frosty the Snowman.
Yep.
I'm kind of here for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that they're saying it's a live action, unless it's like Michael Keaton and Jack
Yeah,
Black.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
So good.
Exactly.
I love that movie so much.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know where people come up with these ideas. It's like
Everyone's been inside. They're bored. They're thinking of everything and anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, that pretty much does it. Keep a lookout for our reviews, and of course, make sure to check out MusicCityDriveIn.com, where we have an entire network, a plethora of other podcasts you can listen to. Everything from commentaries to music to video games as well. So everyone, make sure to check that out. And that was Jacob, Devin, and Kenzie. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Oh, let me end the broadcast, not leave the studio.